Welcome to NEXTGames Odyssey series. This video covering the Sheol Gaol NM Ongo. Now in this video I'll go into the Ongo battle strategy that I recommend, and then I'll show you a battle example of the fight against Ongo that I did with my segment static group. Now Ongo is a mob from the Watska family that is a bit more challenging to stagger than some of the other Attonement 3 NMs. He also takes substantially reduced damage from pretty much all forms. This makes it so that you need to employ certain strategies to make this fight an easy win. Now note, you can also just try to brute force it like we do largely in my battle example, but you can certainly make your life much easier by following the strategies that I'm about to recommend. Now first, let's talk about the abilities that you're going to see Ongo use in this fight. The first is Brownout, which is a conal damage ability that will also blind you. The next is Reverse Current, which is a low AoE thunder damage ability. The next one is Reverberating Cry, which is also a low AoE thunder damage ability. The next one is Spark Storm, which will do conal damage it seems, and I'm pretty sure inflict another effect, but I couldn't figure out what that is, so if you know what it is, please post it down there in the comments. The last ability you can see is Crashing Thunder, and this is the most important one, and frankly the only one that really appears to do any damage. It will do AoE lightning damage and magic defense down, but usually only for under 1000 AoE damage. This also opens the red stagger window. Now once this window is open, fetters will begin to spawn. You want to immediately Dark Skill Chain, and then follow that up with multiple stone magic bursts to trigger a blue stagger. There are also 3 spells you can see Ongo use. Thundaga 4, which will do 500 to 700 AoE damage. Thunder 5, which is 1000 single target damage, and Stun, which seems to be an AoE version of Stun that wipes your shadows. Now the last ability I'll mention, I've only seen once, and it was at 1% hit points, so I'm not sure if this is just under 50%, or whether Ongo can actually use this the entire time, but it's called Static Prison. Now, the one time I did see this, it one-shotted me at 1% hit points, but I was in my weapon skill gear. All the other people in range, who are in the regular DT gear, were hit for very little damage. So this really shouldn't be too much of a risk, but just keep it in mind because it can hit for high amounts of damage if you are caught without a lot of magic evasion on. Now the strategy for this one should involve a single tank and 1 damage dealer who can reliably solo Darkness Skill Chain over and over again. Ninja with Blade He Spam works very well. Samurai can also work well, but make sure you have enough accuracy to land your weapon skills. For instance, many Fudos missed in the battle example, and that's really going to mess up the magic bursting that is crucial to this fight. The other 4 jobs should be filled with support and mage jobs, and everyone should be able to stone magic burst. Now even though this NM is supposedly weak to blunt, really all forms of damage appear to do very little damage with the exception of stone magic burst. So you want to have someone who is spamming dark skill chains while pretty much everyone else is constantly spamming stone to get as many magic burst as possible. Now this is the same way you will red and blue stagger. Your first skill chain after the use of Crashing Thunder will proc red stagger. If this is followed up with 2 magic burst, you will then blue stagger and can continue the fight without the aura or the fetter spawning. Also note that if Crashing Thunder is used again during that same fight, you are now going to need 3 magic bursts to stagger, so make sure you bring as many as you can. Now please note, the run example you are about to see was recorded a bit ago when we were still figuring out how this NM worked and exactly how the staggers and damage worked. Watching this back is where I learned of the mistakes made and things that did work. It was clear that 2 people both trying to Darkness Skill Chain was getting in the way more than it was helping, so that's why I recommend only a single DD in this video. Some of the members of the party were bursting with Blizzard as well for the first 80% of this fight until we saw the difference Stone was making. There is a good example of how to red and blue stagger in here as well, so that was one thing that went very well during this fight. Now this battle example you're about to see will show that if you just kind of zerg this and make sure that you get the aura gone by blue stagger, this really is a pretty easy fight, but you're pretty much going to use all of your time. If you fight it more efficiently with the method I recommend, you should be able to get through it in about half that time. I will be trying solo strategies on this NM soon to see where I can get. Let's go ahead and see what that battle example looks like. Enjoy the run, everyone. That'll be it for the fight for how to take on Ongo. I hope you found that helpful. I'll be sure to release a solo video on how to do this as soon as I can. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. Stay safe and stay healthy out there.